Too Close for Podcast, episode 217, from March 2nd, 1982, Seventh Month Blues.
We begin with Jackie and Sarah helping Muriel up to the apartment with the groceries. They had like 3 bags of groceries. Muriel is feeling unattractive and fat. Henry comes in and is reminded that the Lamaze class will be held at their house the next day. Just then, the doorbell rings. Muriel answers it. Monroe comes in with a girl from school named Susan Andrews. This girl loves Cosmic Cow, and she sees the depth and the what's the word there?
Satire.
She gets it. She sees the hidden meaning behind the Cosmic Cow cartoon.
It's a very Cosmic Cow heavy episode.
She asks Henry if he will take a look at her artwork. So later on, everybody's there in their living room for the Lamaze class, and the phone rings. Guess who it is?
Lester?
It's not Lester. It's Susan.
Of course.
All right, this upsets Muriel, who is already feeling fat and unattractive. All right, so later on...
Hence the 7th Month Blues.
Is that what they were calling it?
Yeah.
Is that the title?
Mm-hmm.
Ah. So later, Susan's over at the house showing her artwork to Henry. And he says it's very good work, and then someday she'll probably have a career in art and comics, whatever that means. That really excites Susan, so she gives Henry a big kiss. So Henry's embarrassed, and Susan runs out the door, dropping a bunch of her artwork and leaving her coat behind. So Henry chases her down before she can leave the apartment and says, "Hey, what about your stuff?" And says, "Hey, sit down, let's talk about this." And then Henry explains that artists are very passionate. That's when Susan pushes Henry down on the couch and gives him a big kiss. But the front door is open and Muriel comes home and sees all of this. And then Muriel just leaves. That's Act 1.
Wow.
All right, so Act 2, we find Henry on the phone with Dr. Connolly. This is like the third one-sided phone call, I believe. Well, the first phone call, nobody was on the phone. So now we find Henry's on the phone with Dr. Connolly, as we know Muriel's doctor. And he wants to know what he can do because Muriel is slamming doors and leaving notes for him, and he's freaking out. Then we hear the door slam, and Muriel comes in and confronts Henry about the kiss that she saw him having with Susan. Henry explains everything, and Muriel is like, okay, and then she sits on Henry's lap. But once again, the phone rings, and it's Susan, which just gets Muriel upset again. Downstairs, the girls are waiting for Monroe. Henry knocks on the door. Jackie yells, thinking it's Monroe. It's actually Henry with a sandwich, looking for a place to get away from Muriel, who's driving him crazy. And he's got a submarine sandwich of some sort because she's not making him any food. So Monroe shows up and gives the girls the keys to his car. But after Monroe warns him about what poor condition his car is in, Henry just says, "Hey, you can use my car." Then Monroe just tries to eat Henry's sandwich, or what would you call it?
Well, sandwich, but I mean, what's Monroe even thinking?
He doesn't know. He's just there.
But I mean, come on. It's a sandwich. I guess I'll better eat it. You're not Scooby-Doo, man. That's not your food.
Maybe the girls left it out for him because they were going to borrow his car.
Sure.
But Henry's not having any of this.
Yeah, my favorite part of that is, oh, like, don't you be biting the sandwich that I can never take a bite of.
Once you bite it, I'm not going to get to eat it at all.
Maybe nobody should eat it because it's been handled how many times as you've gone through this scene?
But Henry stops him from eating that sandwich, or hoagie.
That's right.
Submarine sandwich.
Exactly.
We called it a hoagie. That sounds better. So Monroe asks Henry if he's heard from Susan and tells him that Susan is very attracted to him and easily obsessed. And one time somebody rejected her and she tried to jump out of a window. That's Act 2.
Now remember, this is a comedy.
With the suicidal girl who wants to have sex with Henry.
Who goes for the oldies.
The oldies. All right, so Henry, later on, probably right after that, he goes straight over to Susan's apartment, but then Henry thinks she's going to kill herself and ends up busting through the bathroom door when this young girl is using the toilet, apparently. And he comes out looking pretty embarrassed, but then he's shocked to find out that she is not in love with him after all, and only wanted to meet his editor so she could talk about her artwork. Which I guess Henry's pretty relieved about this. So he goes home to talk to Muriel, but Muriel comes up and apologizes for being all paranoid and crazy. Act 3.
That all wrapped up real quick. Okay. We had the first appearance of Beverly Sanders on this episode, but not as Marcia from the Herb and Marcia characters.
Oh, yeah.
That we will be seeing later on. Instead, she was Lamaze instructor Nurse Gaynor. This is not the only time an occurrence like this happens. The character of Lisa appears, but it's another character for the first time. But we'll get to that. That's much further down the line. Other guest stars, well, we had Susan Andrews, the aspiring art student, and the rest of the Lamaze class, two of which were specifically billed as the Moncriefs. Cosmic Cow, all over the place in this thing. First scene, Sarah's wearing the Cosmic Cow sweater. Then Henry comes in talking about writing the latest strip where Cosmic Cow is stranded in the Martian desert, dehydrated, and can only give powdered milk. Now this is as opposed to there being water on Venus that we learned last week, I think it was. Referred to as a strip once again. I will be getting further into the nature of what is Cosmic Cow next week. The strip or a comic book or
She
what?
also said, I read your latest issue.
Ah.
When they were in the couch I believe, when he was first introduced to we were first introduced to the Susan Andrews character.
And she also said it was deceptively deep and bitingly satirical. Cosmic Cow. We had the Cosmic Cow sweater, as I mentioned, but Henry's sweaters were Whitman and Los Angeles City College. Monroe was not wearing stripes to begin with, but then later he was.
Later he was.
Those are big stripes, but stripes nonetheless. Who's notably absent?
Where's April?
April, not even a mention of April. Nor is there a mention of Iris, but at least we understand that one. She left. But April, we don't know what April's doing. Objects out the window?
You
Yes.
betcha.
We almost had Susan out the window, or so Henry thought, and then aspirin was thrown out the window. Hopefully it didn't land on someone. One-sided phone conversations. I had forgotten about Henry to Dr. Connolly. That's a good catch. That one, and there was 3 others. There was a hang-up on Muriel. There was Susan to the instructor to Henry. And then there was Susan to Muriel to Henry. Lots and lots of one-sided phone conversations. And yet, I think in future episodes, we have even more one-sided phone conversations. I think the record has yet to be beat. Henry pointing 5 times in this episode. And one really good stammer. There's kind of like that half of one, but the one genuine stammer is your ass, your ass, your ass, aspirin. It's got to have the repetition. Grocery bag props. Yes, first thing. They were back in full effect. What was there, about 4 of them?
There were 3. And it came to a grand total of $74. Which was shocking, I guess.
Freeze frame transition. Yes, we did have that, as well as an unusual transition, the trolley car to Susan's apartment. Monroe's car was mentioned. Once again, sounds like it's totally falling apart. Maybe we won't hear about it again, but we have 5 more episodes of this season, and spoiler alert, in 6 more episodes, Monroe's motorcycle is mentioned, finally. More than mentioned, I think it actually appears. Or maybe I'm lying. Maybe it's the episode after that. But it's a 2-parter. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Talking about episode 217, not episode 301 and 302. Muriel singing with the band. That's how she got her part in the band. That was mentioned. Andrew appearance. Well, that bump's getting bigger. He was referred to as shoplifting a watermelon. The intro, the classic short intro of Monroe in the chair. I'd say that was slightly disheveled Henry hair as he's coming out of the bathroom embarrassed there at the end. Reminded me of when he fell in the hot tub. We had the one-note music cue twice. The old-young relationship, yes, that reared its head again as the whole plot of this episode. Apparently I'm giving this one a 4 on a scale of 1 to 5. I don't know. It's the last time I watched it again, I was thinking more of a 3, but there is a lot of interesting stuff going on in this, so I'll say 4. Bizarreness. Monroe opens Tostitos. Has Henry never opened a bag of anything ever? The uneaten sandwich. That's another strange thing. And this one had a 1981 copyright, which is odd because we've already started the 1982 copyrights, but this was production number 216, which still doesn't make any sense because it's episode 217. Whatever. It'll all make sense very, very soon. As soon as next week, actually. But I'm making things up. A very special episode? No, it's more like, what did we learn? Well, we learned a lesson that we've already learned and will learn again and again in this show, that Henry is not cheating. This sort of thing just happens a lot. In the future, Muriel gets this storyline a few times as well. So, That was 7th Month Blues. But next week might be my favorite episode of the entire series. That's just because of nostalgic reasons, of course. I vividly remember this episode. As the cookie crumbles, Sarah starts selling Cosmic Cow cookies, which is copyright infringement. Next time.
You can hear my show on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. Download the free app today. Listen anytime, anywhere.
Create custom playlists. Rate and review my show on Stitcher. And over 4 million car dashboards.
On demand and on the go. No downloading, no syncing, no wasted memory. Stream your favorite podcasts. Don't have Stitcher? Download it free today at Stitcher.com or in the App Store.